All right. So, what's the plan for today? Right? I'm in the kitchen making my coffee. What's gonna happen? Gonna read a little bit, right? I'm gonna summarize some of the book while I'm reading it, practice some articulation. I got 1 hour and 20 minutes until the clothing is done. Stream will stop then. And then I'm hitting the gym because for anyone who doesn't know, we moved places. If you look at the video before I begin, it's at a different place. It's in a different room. My room looks different. I have my own flat now. So it's coffee time, it's clothing time, it's gym time. I already got some productivity stuff done today. I went out, I went shopping, I took a walk, a really nice walk, left my phone at home, went outside, walk in the park. Right, I feel like a new man. My dopamine is reset. I'm cooking it here again. Right, all this kind of stuff. We're gonna chill, read a little bit. It's still influence. Robert Cialdini, great book. Can recommend it to anyone if you want to understand how the world like tries to influence, not the world, but like media and salespeople, generally like how you can be influenced, convinced, and how influence as a whole works psychologically. He studied that stuff and did a bunch of research on it. So it's pretty sick. But you're gonna hear about that in a second anyway. First, first it's coffee time, right? Got a little cute coffee machine here. Look at it fighting for life. Let's try. Already had everything ready. I thought I'd just start the stream here, like I said I'll do last time. I think it's kind of cute. And now there's a little bit of an introduction in case you look at this in the future. I wonder if it's recording from my camera or from my PC. And that would be good to know. You can see how I track my stuff. Coffee here. And I took a cold shower, as I often have, and I often will again. Right? Or not a cold shower, cold bath. Was I showering? Nobody really knows. Boom. Right. We got the weighing device here. Cup on there. Set up some milk. I'm feeling like just a tiny bit of chocolate. It's 20 grams. Yeah, it's 30 grams. 30 G's. Some milk. A 100 G's. And that's coffee, baby. And that is coffee, baby. Always leave your workplace behind clean. I learned that from my time when I was a kitchen help. Well, I still am a kitchen help, but I'm not doing this actively anymore because I have a bunch of other shit I'm doing, right? And I'm looking to start my own stuff soon. Very, very, very soon. Boom, boom. Let's get this camera set up here. You can see there's just straight up like a door there because we're still renovating the flat. But my room is clean. My room is clean. I love it. I used to be so unorganized, right? I used to be so unorganized. And I'm happy to be... No, what microphone has happened? Is it the wrong microphone? Can I change my microphone? Because it's not here, right? Let me just test my microphone. Is there a way for me to check it? Can I watch my own stream? No, the mic is fine. Nice. Love that. Love that. It's reading time. It is reading time. Got my coffee ready. Got the door not in the frame, but that's okay. I'm gonna get the book. I'm pumped. I'm pumped to get some learning in today. I'm pumped to finally go to the gym again. I've been looking for a gym in this area. Fact of the matter is, I found one. Fact of the matter is that I found one, and I'm hyped. Right, let us change that so that the door isn't just like in the frame like that. Can I do that? Boom, no? It's the cable. All right. Is that good? Is that good? Is that cozy? Looks cozy, right? Move that down a little bit. Looks cozy. Cozy as hell. Feeling hella cozy. I'm on the... There we go. Got this guy. Low key, I love this one so much. I'm thinking, what if I just learned woodworking, right? I feel like that'd be sick. Let's cozy up together. Ah, I'm happy. I got my coffee here. Got my book here. Till the clothing's done. 7 minutes in. I haven't read a single word yet. Am I locked out because I'm trying to lock in? Potentially. Right? Potentially. I'm not even gonna lie. This is what I was talking about. I think it was like 4 streams ago. My TTS, my time to start, I want it to be lower. It's getting better. So I'll just read it, and sometimes I'll share what's going on, share it with you, try to summarize as best as I can, because I want to get better at articulating stuff. All right, so right now he's talking about social proof and giving the example of laugh tracks. You know, they're hated, nobody really likes them, but they're still kept in television despite no one liking them. Studies show, and it's also why the reason they're still there is that people laugh more when laugh tracks are there, so they're more entertained over a longer period of time. So people also, you know, stay on television longer. Um, he's explaining why that's the case, and it's because of like a click and whir response, meaning there are certain programs that run in animals, right? When a turkey hears its chicks, it'll automatically start, I think, giving food or something. Um, yeah, it'll like it'll like give like maternal care just from hearing it. So there could be not even like a real chick there, some other animal, and if it made that sound, the turkey would respond the same way. He's saying we have similar programs. He made the statement way longer before, but he's bringing it back again. We have similar programs, and this program of social proof is one of them. We hear laughing in the background, we automatically, right, assume, okay, this has to be funny, we should laugh as well, making it more likely for us to find it funny as well. Um, and it makes sense, right? It's like this double-edged sword of like where most people go is probably the right way to go, but if you don't stay critical, right, you might just follow the masses into like some fatal um, movement, right? Here, we have become so accustomed to taking the humorous reactions of others as evidence of what deserves laughter that we too can be made to respond to that sound and not the substance of the real thing. he's giving a quote. Um, Sales and motivation consultant Cavett Robert captures this principle nicely in his advice to sales trainees. Since 95% of people are imitators and only 5% initiators, people are persuaded more by the actions of others than by any proof we can offer. One day, I worked as a promoter, where I met Sabine Wert, the founder of the Berliner Tafel, where my school project then happened, right? That donation project. Anyway, I was a promoter, knocked at her door. My script my script is interesting because a lot of these sales things I'm learning, because I want to get into sales, because it's going to be really important once I start in my own business. One thing in there was that they mentioned a lot of your neighbors paid, put up a $15 donation, right, as like a guide. It was like, right, it was something, I don't remember the script as much anymore, but it was like, are you willing to donate a lot of your, are you willing to donate? It was some stuff, right? And then it basically just mentioned that the neighbors had given had given this certain price. It was interesting. Thought that was like, because that makes sense, right? Or follow or imitators. I feel like those stands where people stand and then people like walk to them, or they like try to stop people on the street to convince them to donate. In principle, they're a good thing, right? But I feel like they could genuinely just be optimized. Music at the stand, something to make it less intrusive, more inviting. I think a lot of people want to help. I really believe most people want to help and do something to help, but helping is just weirdly difficult. That's why I love my donation project, because the idea was just to get one, like, you only have to bring one thing. And if every person brings one thing, we have, with 1,000 students, over 1,000 um, articles of food. Articles of food is not English. Pieces, items of food. Making it easy. Okay, this shit's crazy. Robert O'Connor sees and notices a bunch of socially anxious children, preschool children, the ones, the kind that you've seen them as well, that, socially isolate, take themselves back, and don't really join a group or interact with people. He showed them a film containing 11 different scenes in a nursery school setting where a child joined a group and people were like really happy for them to join. Later, the children, almost all of them, I think they say here, or was it all of them? He took a group of the most severely withdrawn children and showed them that film. Okay, they say the isolates. It's crazy. The social isolates. They then began approaching people afterwards. After seeing this video, the social proof, right, that people are happy to see them join, they went out, interacted with people, and the really interesting thing is that what was it, six weeks later, he came back to observe, and they were not only just like standard social, but they were like one of the most social kids out there. It's that fear of rejection, right? Wild. And those that didn't see the video, they stayed the same, right? Influence. I mean, yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if that always works for people that believe that, the world doesn't work for them, right? I feel like there would be people that would see that and then they would say, "Oh, yeah, of course, right? That person, they go in there, and when they go, there, people are happy." But I guess that's why you show them so many, right? 11 different scenes to say, regardless of who you are, it's going to be the case for you. But I feel like often there are people that like convince themselves or hold on to that image of themselves, right? That things won't work for them. It's so sad, actually. Yeah. But I guess I also have those same things, right? Somewhere I also have those same things. Cooked?
No, it's getting up.
That's cooked. What happened?
I understand that this constant coughing is very exhausting.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah. I feel like you're coughing an adequate amount. I feel like you're coughing an adequate amount.
You need to get the slime out?
No, like, it's like you're like a bit sick, but not like crazy sick.
Oh, no, I'm not dying by any means.
Yeah.
I'm not angeschlagen, but, I got a grippe.
You got a grippe.
It's not that common for me to have it like this.
Are you taking your vitamins?
Yeah.
Good.
Taking my vitamins, warming, sleeping. I should probably sleep more.
Yeah?
But I'm not dying.
It could be so cinematic. It's not.
shit dry?
Yeah, that's why I put in another wash.
Nice.
I agree.
Very nice. Oh, let me stop warming the whole.
Okay, let me talk about this. Talking about social proof, and now they're talking about like he's talking about like cults and kind of, I guess, giving a story background. He's not explaining yet how they work. But there's this small group in California. I don't know their name anymore, but they were really devoted to their situation. And the scientists that were researching influence at this time decided to join them, this little group. Um, this group believed that a cataclysmic event was to take place, and that from a different planet, people would come and pick them up, and they were not allowed to wear any metal, and they were to train certain sayings like "I am my own pointer," porter as well, pointer and porter, on the day of the pickup. Interestingly, they were really secretive about their entire thing. They didn't really try to get other people into it. They would actually, push people away, and oftentimes would respond to reporters with no comment. The reporters were really interested because at some point these people were so invested in their craft that they would give up a lot of like social life. The one of the leaders, like, they got fired because they were so devoted to the entire thing. And on the day of the pickup that's supposed to take place, they're sitting in the room. There's a clock, one of them 4 minutes earlier than the other one. At 24 o'clock, they're supposed to be picked up. The one clock hits 24. The other guy says, "Nah, that one is 4 minutes earlier. I set mine to the correct time." It was the leader, I believe. That clock hits zero, and the people start being like really doubtful. No, at first they're still holding on to the idea, and around 4 o'clock, they're not moving during this entire time. Like, they're like still, because it's super tense. And at 4 o'clock, like, the first person, I think, just starts crying, like breaking down, because they're not being picked up, right? And they're just like shaken, right? There were like lawsuits and stuff. People trying to take their children away because they were like so deep in the sauce. Practicing articulation, he says deep in the sauce, but so invested in it. And by the end of it, 4:30, seems like they were all talking about the failure, and the group seemed near dissolution. Imagine, dude, you invest so much into that, you think you're gonna get picked up because like a cataclysmic event is to take place. You've been like super in it, right? Nothing happens, and you're just sitting there. Damn. Okay. In the midst of gathering doubt, as cracks crawled through the believer's confidence, the researchers witnessed a pair of remarkable incidents, one after another. One after another. The first occurred at about 4:45 a.m. when Marian Keats, that's like their leader, the one who speaks to those beings, hand suddenly began transcribing through automatic writing the text of a holy message from above. When read aloud, the communication proved to be an elegant explanation for the events of the night. The little group, sitting alone all night long, had spread so much light that God had saved the world from destruction. Although neat and efficient, this explanation was not wholly satisfying by itself. For example, after hearing it, one member simply rose, put on his hat and coat, and left, never to return. Something additional was needed to restore the believers to their previous levels of faith. It was at this point that the second notable incident occurred to supply that need. Once again, the words of those who were present offered a vivid description. The atmosphere in the group changed abruptly, and so did their behavior. Within minutes after she had read the message explaining the disconfirmation, Miss Keat received another message instructing her to publicize the explanation. She reached for the telephone and began dialing the number of a newspaper. While she was waiting to be connected, someone asked, "Marian, is this the first time you have called the newspaper yourself?" Her reply was immediate. "Oh yes, this is the first time I had ever called them. I have ever called them. I have never had anything to tell them before. But now I feel it is urgent." The whole group could have echoed her feelings, for they all felt a sense of urgency. As soon as Marian had finished her call, the other members took turns telephoning newspapers, wire service, radio stations, and national magazines to spread the explanation of the failure of the flood. And their desire to spread the word quickly and resoundingly, the believers now opened for public attention matters that had been thus far utterly secret. Where only hours earlier they had shunned newspaper reporters and felt that the attention they were getting in the press was painful, they now became avid seekers for publicity. Suddenly, yeah, they became public, looking for converts as well. From a young woman with a 3-year-old child. "I have to believe the flood is coming on the 21st, because I've spent all my money. I quit my job. I quit computer school. I have to believe." From Dr. Armstrong to one of the researchers 4 hours after the failure of the saucepan to arrive. That's like one of the leaders. "I've had to go a long way. I've given up just about everything. I've cut every tie. I've burned every bridge. I've turned my back on the world. I can't afford to doubt. I have to believe. And there isn't any other truth. Bro, they are so deep in the sauce. Okay, he brought it around. So the reason after the entire situation fails, they begin becoming so public and trying to recruit so many people and trying to get, convince the media and all of that, is that to establish another type of proof for the validity of their beliefs that they had laid so many stakes on, they looked for social proof. And so to get as many people in there, convince them of of the subject, of the idea, and by virtue of having so many people following that idea, it should be true. Crazy. Okay, because they couldn't. That's wild. They couldn't get a single person. They couldn't convince a single person to join. So they quickly disintegrated. I love this book. All the weapons of influence discussed in this book work better under some conditions than others. If we are to defend ourselves adequately against any such weapon, it is vital that we know its optimal operating conditions in order to recognize when we are most vulnerable to its influence. Yes, bro. Yes, bro. When we are unsure of ourselves, when the situation is unclear or ambiguous, when uncertainty reigns, we are most likely to look to and accept the actions of others as correct. Yeah. Another way that uncertainty develops is through the lack of familiar, familiarity with the situation. Bro,
Yes.
are you sweeping the kitchen?
What?
Are you sweeping the kitchen?
Yeah.
I just did that.
Well, it's dusty again.
Ah, probably from the washing machine.
That's well possible, yeah.
I felt attacked.
What?
I felt attacked.
1 second. You threw a panic?
I said I felt attacked.
So. Shouldn't feel attacked. You should feel
Inadequate. Huh?
Inspired.
Inspired. Okay.
Yes.
Next time.
Exactly. This will explain why the surfaces are so much cleaner.
Yep. Nice. I felt recognized.
Very good.
The dude that made the shopping cart bought a bunch of stores. Shopping carts didn't exist back then. He noticed people stopped buying when they weren't able to, fill their bags anymore. He built a contraption. It looked quite weird. People didn't really understand what it was. And so no one used it. And then what he did was that he hired a bunch of people to use his shopping carts. Suddenly, a bunch of people started using his shopping carts, right? Because it's a great idea. And then he died a really rich man because, became a worldwide recognized contraption. It's a cool example. Okay, the washing machine is going crazy, but let me describe this. I bet I hope a lot of people know about the case of Genovese. A woman in New York is running through the cities and screaming for help because a man is following her and repeatedly trying to stab her. 35 minutes pass of her screaming for help. And I think like 30 bystanders open their doors, open their windows, and look out and see this woman. Curiously, in this entire time in the middle of New York, no one calls the police. How can that be? Two reasons mentioned. I remember learning this in psychology. The bystander effect. It is the fact that, is that the bystander effect? I wouldn't call it the bystander effect. That is not factual, I believe. I don't know. Not verified by me. The reason, two reasons. There's so many people. One of them definitely called the police. For sure, right? So no one calls the police because one guy definitely called the police. I don't need to call the police if they already called the police. Another one is that there is no social proof, right? You're looking and you're seeing these other people and they're just looking at the situation. So it can't really be a dangerous situation, right? That's cooked. That's cooked because those two reasons, they make so much sense together, right? You know, no one's calling the police, and no one's calling the police because they're looking at other people who are not reacting because someone's already called the police. And so no one calls the police. Okay. And what do we learn from that, right? He didn't mention it yet, but I'm saying stay critical. You know what I mean? Stand on your own 2 feet. I always err on the side of caution. I try to. I don't always. Of course, I fall subject to this just as much. But I remember I was in the train and I saw this dude. And bro, he was tweaking out so hard. He was actually tweaking out in the train, in the bus. And he's going crazy, right? I'm looking at this man and I'm not even joking, he's like
Is this all dirty?
yeah. Right, he's tweaking out in the train and shit's crazy. And then at some point he just stops. He just stops tweaking out. And this dude is like 23. And I'm looking at all these people and they're looking at him and they're just like blanked faced looking at this man absolutely tweak the fuck out. I thought it was so crazy because at some point he stopped and he was just like, he's been tweaking out for 20 minutes. I also just kind of looked at the situation where I was observing these people. Train ends, they stand up and they go away. And I'm like, bro, that's crazy that they just did not give a shit. Reminded me a bit of this case. It's great because it primed me. I stand up and I'm a bit nervous, right? But I go to the guy and I tap him and I kind of shake him. I'm like, yo, are you here? He does not respond. No response. That's my call. I called the police. No, I stopped the thing. And then I actually do. I called not the police, but the ambulance. And they come and they check it out. I also pulled the thing, right? I talked with a train worker who walked past, and I was like, "Yo, this dude is just tweaking out." And he was like, "Pull the alarm, call the guys." That's what I did. They came. They assured me, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna take care of this." They went away. But dude, yeah, I'd have saved a life that day. All those other people just went out, dude. I thought it was crazy, and I also thought it was really relatable that they just went. I felt like it made a lot of sense, and I felt like I could have very well been subject to that. That's why it's important to prime yourself for these kind of situations, right? That's why I'm happy that I learned that stuff in psychology, even if psychology class was horrendous. Got 3 minutes left in this chapter. I'm just gonna finish this. That's not the chapter. Okay. But it's like the subsection. I'm gonna finish the subsection and then hang up the clothes. And then it's gym time, baby. And then it's gym time. The second one I described, where everyone's looking around and they're seeing no one do anything, and so they don't do anything, they call it pluralistic ignorance. Remember that. They just gave another example, kind of just as horrible. Good stuff. Got myself in an hour of reading, probably 15 minutes of yapping. Time to get that clothing in. Time to get this gym in, bro. I'm so hyped. I don't think I'm gonna stream gym, but I might make a video on it. Good stuff. Is there anything more to add? What did we learn today? Bystander effect is the most recent one. How those groups would social proof, right, was the general overarching concept. Social proof and its functions, right? In uncertainty, we look for social proof, and in situations where we don't know, in situations with low familiarity, which is also uncertainty. Then they gave the example of that group that was really convinced that this catastrophe would happen and that they would be saved by these aliens. These scientists are part of that group and observing this whole situation. When the aliens don't arrive, the people are also so invested at some point because they had to lose so much, and so their investment, their stakes are just really high, right? They really have to believe in the situation. By the time it doesn't happen, they suddenly become very public, and they look for social proof to support their situation, because now all those legs have fallen, right? To keep the belief up. The last one, maybe even the most potent one, social proof, they fail, the group disperses. The group disperses. It falls apart. And then they give the case example of Genovese with plural ignorance, where they give two examples. People are looking, this woman running away, screaming. They look around and they assume other people have already taken agency, called the police. Nobody has, right? And then they're looking at these other people, and the other people are so seemingly calm about the situation because everyone else is so seemingly calm about the situation, because you're trying to stay composed and you don't want to seem excited or anything, and because of that they're like, yo, everyone's chilling. This can't be a fatal situation. No one calls anyone, no police. 35 minutes, woman dies, nothing happens at all. I think after 35 minutes the police was called. And then at the end, no, that was it, right? Since no one is concerned, nothing is wrong. Great. Good reading session. Feel like I summarized the things pretty well. I believe it's gonna get better. A lot better. What did I say? In the sauce. Yeah, I didn't cook with that one, but that's fine. Good stuff, good work. I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna hustle as I often have, and I often will again. See you later.